Welcome to this installment of the series. Today I'll do some more work on the input system and maybe some UI work. As stated on a recent poll on the channel side, I'll probably work towards a simple level editor of some kind. Um, yeah, and after that I'll maybe start working towards yeah, doing different optimizations on the engine and not optimizations, but more work on the engine in terms of getting to a point where we can start prototyping a bit. Um, yeah, I might add some effects depending on what you guys want to see. Yeah, but the overall plan is like to get to a point where we can start playing around with a bit of game design and game mechanics. And of course, have some smaller detours along the way in terms of changing the graphics stuff and yeah, the physics stuff and yeah. And then after that, we will do iterations on different systems in terms of improving the visuals and different stuff. So yeah, that's the overall roadmap for now. Yeah, today's stream will probably be a bit laid back and yeah. Let's see. I'm just gonna check some stuff here. Hello, welcome. Yeah, so that's the overall plan. I figured that we might look into the mouse input stuff in terms of the messaging system. Since I figured that we might as well do that. So the L param of the left mouse button down specifies the X and Y coordinates. The W param checks for different key states. Let's see, do we get any other information? Nope. All right. Thanks for dropping by though. See you next time. Yeah. Mouse clicks. Double clicks. Okay. If we wanted double clicks, well, we don't want double clicks, I think. Mm. Um, yeah, so we check for whether it's a release or a click message. Hello. Well, I'm sorry, I have to ban you. That's not appropriate. He should be banned, right? I think. So, alright. Can you remove the message? I don't know. Uh, oh well. That should have handled it. No. Anyway. Um, anyway. We could... Hello, welcome. So, let's see, is it a float or is it It's quite alright. So let's see, get x param macro. Where is the macro defined? It's not defined here or what? Windows x.h. Make points. No, I just want to add mouse clicks. Make points. Does it include the make points? No, it doesn't. We need to include. All right, so yeah, we will include that. Windows x.h. Message dot, was it the L param? Yeah, the L param, and it returns a int x y and then we could, let's see, in our player controller we do, sure thing, man. So I use the sure thing. You can do whatever you want. It's nice to have you hang out, but if you need to do something else, it's perfectly fine. Don't worry about me. Yeah, so we actually use the center position. And we kind of subtract the center position to get whether we are yeah. And we could do a bool here uh, where we simply do excuse me. Um, let's do the message equal to the button down. So if we click the button, we know it's down, we get the X and Y coordinates in screen space. Let's just test this, is down. Print clicked down, add, and we get the X and the Y, else released. Hello, welcome. So click down and then released at a different place. Let's see. Clicked, released, clicked, released. Okay. So this is pretty fine. Let's do the same thing except for the right mouse button. And in our input system, we will process mouse state. Yeah, let's do it. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, let's just do the same naming. And we will do a struct mouse state where we store the button index. We can store a int x, int y, and a boolean is down, and pass that in. A const mouse state, reference mouse state, and let me just check some stuff here. And let's switch on the mouse state key, or rather button. We could do a char pointer, I think, where we can also just do a simple index case 0, we do something, and case 2, let's do a table up here, mouse index 0, left, index 2, right, and then index 1 will be the middle. We will do a mouse state. We have to prefix it with the input. Yeah, I think so. Input mouse state. And we set the state X and state Y, and the state is down. Whoops. And yeah, we simply process that. Let's see. Let's fill that in here. Oh, whoops, I deleted the state stuff. And we send that to processing in our input system. Input system, process mouse state, state. We also need to set the key. If the state button is this, and there we go. And we process our state in here. And we can do a struct saved mouse state where we save it. Bool was down, and we can do a X, Y storage. And we do a buffer, saved mouse state, pointer, last frame mouse state. And saved mouse state. This frame mouse state. Excuse me. And we, on creation, we do the allocations. And we simply do maybe 3 mouse buttons. Oh, whoops. I misspelled. Last frame mouse state. This frame mouse state. Do the same thing. Save mouse state. 3. And on instruction, we delete the allocation. Oh, it's the key state here. Well, There we go. We simply set the oh, of course, we need to set it on the static instance. What's down? Well, we set that to the mouse state. It's down. And we set the X and Y. And there we go. We do the same thing for the right mouse button. And that's it. We do the same thing in terms of storing the states. There's free mouse states. And I'm unsure whether no, we don't want to reset anything. I think a mouse click is fairly hello, welcome. So we can test this in our application here. Let's try to create a method where we check if the mouse is being held down. Let's do it during our update step. Right now, let's just close this so I don't have to scroll so much. Right now we store whether the mouse state is down. It will be copied for every frame. So we could do something like processing of data and state handling, and then we do some keyboard methods, and then we do some mouse methods. I shouldn't do these comments since they are kind of like not very insightful, but yeah, mouse key. Let's do is mouse key down, mouse button down. It's not a key, and let's do a unsigned integer of the button, and we can simply ask a switch on the button and in case it's 0, we know it's the left mouse button. We don't need to break because we simply return this mouse state. Let's see, do I preface it with the instance? Yeah, I do. We simply return whether it's down. Let's do the same thing for the right mouse button. All right. this should be able to pull our input system. So let's say that we click the mouse button and it's down. We want to check for that. Input, well, that's not a real thing, is it? This mouse button down, and let's do the left click. And let's just do a dump mouse button is down. And let's see if I click the application here. Yeah, it registers and it stops whenever I release the button. So we could also do something like was mouse button released, or maybe, yeah, let's do was mouse button released, and we do the same thing. And we simply yeah, so let's just copy this actually. Was mouse button released. Do something on release. Let's just comment this out. Well, this up. What camera folder? Could you elaborate a bit on what you mean by that? Actually, I'm unsure whether this processes only once or if it's, yeah, I don't think it processes more than once did stuff. Let's see here. So I could do the same thing for keeping track of, yeah, so it only does it when it's released. So if I do the same thing as we did for the keyboard, actually add a state here where we do a unsigned integer called num change states. I definitely want to answer your question, Rolando, but I'm unsure what you mean. Let's see. So we simply set the Let me see. Did I not? Oh, it's the wrong place, of course. And we increase the number of changed states. And then during our update step, we copy. I think it's 3, right? Yeah, it's 3. Maybe I should do a. Did I do? No, it didn't do it here. I did it here. Input max mouse buttons. Let's do it like this instead. Because then it will be much easier to handle if we add whatever um, yeah, if we want to add mouse buttons or change anything, we simply just change the size of the arrays. Yeah, I can show you the code, but I'm unsure what you want to understand. So now I think everything will work in terms of if I enable the release checking again. Uh, okay, I think we will be able to see that a mouse do something on release. I just released the mouse button, I clicked, and now I'm holding it, and it releases. So it registers that I released the button. So that's great. So now we can check if a mouse button is pressed or not. Um, I'm not using any library at all. I've built everything from scratch. Let's see. Okay. Do we want to process the? Well, maybe we don't want to change this anyway. It's for the old camera. Let's see. This just processes whatever. let's see. Yeah. Let's see. And I want to bind a key so I can easily close the application. Because since we started doing message handling this way, so if we do get the case of the message being, let's do another switch here. Let me see. Let's do the Windows key escape button here. If we ever have that key press, I think we set the is running to false. So now I think we can close the application by just pressing the escape key. Oh, and we can't. At least it doesn't do anything. Let me see. Okay. Let's call the on destroy. Well, it still doesn't register. Did it? Let's see. Does it register? No, it doesn't. So, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I understand. Let's just do a simple if here. Okay, I changed my mind. Let's try just setting the flag. Whoops. Well, that doesn't. Wait a minute. Oh my god. I am not doing the correct check. We need to do like this. There we go. All right. So if I want to close the application now, I can just I think if you want to learn graphics programming from scratch, maybe do DirectX 11. since DirectX11 is way more friendly in terms of API calls and in terms of what it helps you handle. All right, now we have a way of closing the application whenever we're done with whatever we want, and we can do some clicking and checking and yeah, great stuff. Let's just change the input polling. We don't need this. Yeah, so we don't need this code anymore. This got changed to yeah, let's leave that for now at least. We don't need that. Okay. So now we can begin integrating our UI stuff with our input system. So for instance, if we clicked up here, it would be nice to, for instance, maybe drag it a bit around. So yeah, I was just contemplating what methods to implement because we would like a packet of information in terms of when we click yeah, it's a bit of a complicated state to check. For instance, if we click, we want to register that we clicked on some element. But then we of course want to store it. Yeah, so let's try building a way where we can do that. So yeah, it should have a base position. Sort of, I think. And yeah, we could do it with a method where we simply do a lookup and set the position. Right now in our UI system here, we store the X and Y position of the contexts and the objects on the, let's open the UI CPP file and the header file. So the rendering data, we put in the color, we render the contexts, we specify some line widths which are hard coded for now. And we kind of process where to put the UI elements. So they are relative to the context. So yeah, this part of the context information should be maybe updated. Nope. Easy. Hello, welcome back. Well, maybe we want a way of internally in the UI stuff when we call begin frame. Maybe we want to store some mouse state, and then when we process that, um, we could do some stuff in terms of that. Maybe we start out with a button, since it's probably somewhat more simple. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, maybe we want to do that as a first. I've built everything myself, so I'm not using um, GUI, but it's of course inspired from the way GUI works, at least the function calls. I've never really worked a lot with GUI, so there's no risk of me totally plagiarizing whatever they do because I don't know what they do under the hood. Let's see. So yeah, maybe we want to expand this a bit and maybe um, add a method. I did already create a method for the button. Well, I know the button method in ImGUI simply does the check whether the button is pressed on the actual call here. So that's how they avoid callbacks. So let's see, test button. Right now nothing happens, I think. I haven't created a repo yet. I'm unsure whether I'll create a repo for this. Inside our system here. We create different objects. Oh, well, it's not really active anyway, so what did you have in mind? Let's just copy this. Of course, this needs to be an else if. Button buffer. Let's do that instead. And we do the same thing for the height and width for now. And lastly, we add some information from the button buffer. And we now have a sort of test button. Yeah. Let's see. So we can actually poll the input system now. And we do that by including the header. So when we create a button here, we can check. Let's see. A few Java, JavaScript, C Sharp, C++, of course a bit of C, yeah, a bit of Python. Well, this doesn't store the actual maybe it should store the X and Y position. Okay, now we store the X and Y position. And we also store the width, maybe. Yeah, just for now. Yeah, we do it for a button at least. Excuse me. Mm. And then we can ask oh, that sounds exciting. Yeah, I used to do web programming, so actually I also know a bit of PHP and SQL, but of course HTML and CSS. But yeah, I definitely prefer systems programming. So we could check whether our last frame UI had something like well, it's basically just for database programming or handling. Let's see. Uh, can I get a pair? Whoops. I of course need to not wrap that. Found button last frame. Yeah, it did. Work. No. No, not yet. I've seen someone else do a bit of a assembly, and yeah, gotten a bit of insight to the actual syntax of it. But yeah, I've never done it myself. So if we have a pointer last frame for the given button, we know it was created last frame. Then we can check the state and simply pull. Maybe we want let's see, UI element. No, what's the type? I can't remember. UI object pointer. Maybe we want to store it. The last frame object. We set that to a null pointer. And we store last frame object. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I can imagine. Let's do the pointer here then. No. Tree node. Yeah. So I have to look into the different map methods. Let's see if I use the find. Yeah, I think you generally do something like C or C++, and then you optimize different areas of the code with direct assembly optimizations. If you find that the compiler doesn't do what you want it to. Okay. Maybe we want an iterator instead. Yeah. And they say it's easier because of the um, way the compiler works. The C++ compiler is horrible, which means that if you want to debug something and you're new to the compiler, you will have a bad time understanding what your error is. I think it takes a long time to get familiar with it. Okay, we could also just be lazy here. But maybe we just want the Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, it's probably bad, but I don't think you get much help from GCC or anything like that either. So yeah, I think and it's easier to start out with C. It's also very very basic, so it takes you through all the steps of doing whatever you need to do on a computer. Where C++ has a lot of different abstractions and templates are in the standard library are so hard to read. I mean, like, it's hard to get a basic understanding on what the standard library does. So, yeah. I think C is more beginner friendly, even though it's a bit rough since it needs to be more verbose, but mm, let's see, what does the pointer? Okay, so we can first check if it finds anything. And then we can, well, we don't need to do anything then, but, ah, man, I would like to store it. Okay, we can do, I haven't decided yet. Probably after some of the holidays. Let's see if we do like this. Uh, Let me just think here. I could do the iterator stuff, but okay. I guess we will do the iterator. Oh, it's no problem. I'm just trying to decide how to store the last frame. Uh, Store the iterator from the search. Let's see. Uh, let's see. Syntax error. Oh, whoa, wait a minute. then we can print the X and Y position of the button here for the last frame. Whoops. Oh, thank you. It's definitely better than when I started streaming and doing tutorial videos. I think it's a matter of practice, right? Um, all right. So if we find a object for the last frame, we can do checks on that object on the last frame. And in our input system, maybe we want a mouse position struct where we simply store the X and Y. And we want I'm unsure what that means. We could do a method that returns a mouse position, get click position, where we take in a key, of course. Whoops, not gonna implement it here. It's all right. And we do the good old switch here, even though we will return an empty mouse position. Did I initialize it? Yeah, I did. Whoops, wrong folder. And we will of course not do that, but we will check if we click this frame, because we do not want to get a drag. So we check here, did we click this frame? Yeah, it depends on what you want to do. In terms of performance, it won't be better, but in terms of uh, speed of development, I think DirectX 11 is, of course, way better because it's more simple. So it depends on what parameters you kind of want to compare them, I think. So if we did get a click, we will return the mouse position with the X and Y of this. Let's see. Let's see. Well, maybe we do like this. Yeah, if you want to do stuff on Windows, you need to know how to create a window and yeah, must have class type. Anyway, uh, let's just do a mouse position. No fancy calls here. Oh, well, maybe we can do the easier call then. There we go. So if it was clicked, otherwise we simply return an empty mouse position. And we do the same thing here. So we should be able to ask our input system, get click position, X and Y. Maybe we want to store this input mouse position, where we store it. And if I'm unsure what you mean is smooth. So now we have, we could, for instance, do something like if the position X is, let's just say greater than the X position here, and the position X is lower than the X position plus the width. Uh, inside X. Of course, we don't check the Y position here, but it doesn't really. Okay, well, it's because the width is 50. So as you can see here, when I click the first part of our quote unquote button, it does register that we're inside the X and X position. And let's do this as a segment and then do another one for the Y. So you mean that I don't have to search a lot, or let's see. So let's just increase this a bit so it's probably more representative of Um, yeah, well, I don't know what when you switch windows, what do you need to like look up? Oh, this is for the text. Even though it's, yeah, I need some algorithm that calculates the size of the item in terms of how many characters it's supposed to draw to the screen, but right now I will simply hard code it. Yeah, that's definitely some more whoops, more dynamic UI creation stuff. So right now I'm Oh, okay. Usually it's because I already know what I'm trying to do, but I just need to figure out the correct syntax. So I have understanding of how, like for instance, a map is structured. So um, I know it works with iterators and heap memory allocations and pointers. So whenever I try to get some information inside the map structure, I know what I'm trying to get. It's only a matter of um, yeah, me kind of like getting the syntax right. Okay, so now when we click our button here, uh, it actually detects that we clicked our button. I'm clicking right now and it doesn't register anything, doesn't care. But once I hit the button right now, I think the area is too big. But yeah, it definitely knows that um, I'm inside the button. So we simply, let me decrease the size a bit though. So whenever we're inside the button during creation, we actually return true, and now we have effectively a callback. So now I can do something like if we actually click the button this frame, we do something. Thank you. Hopefully it will turn out all right. I have not made high expectations since we're only doing a prototype, and I'm doing all this for the first time. So yeah, if we have a functional game where we can have a bit of fun, I'll be happy. Callback. So um, okay, let's see. And as you can see here, we effectively bind the callback of the button whenever we create it. This means that during every updating, or rather per frame function call, no matter where we are in our application, we can create a button. Um, Thanks for your support, man. Um, yeah, so this is basically how we're gonna do uh, a bit of UI handling. Uh, we can now create buttons that get clicked. We could do more elaborate input handling, meaning that, for instance, some systems allow you to uh, not click the button, but release the mouse outside if you don't want to um, do call. So we could simply change the UI code here so that instead of getting the click, we get the release position. But once we click, if we're inside the button, we store it on the UI state. So for instance, we could do this. Well, we would run into a problem if we uh, don't store the object. No. Well, hmm. Okay. We could store the object. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it would be fairly easy. Doesn't it return a... Well, maybe we simply just want a... It's a pair, though. Yeah, we could do a pair here. Uh, Pair pointer maybe, and do the... Well, we could do something like that. Well, whoops. We could also be lazy and do the auto thing here. Wait a minute. That's already used. Ref object. Oh yeah, so the type is way more elaborate. I'll probably stream a bit on off all day, so hopefully I'll see you later. Have a good one with whatever you're going to do. Let's see. Of course, that sounds like a great idea. Do a bit of graphics work. Have fun. Yeah, so we could bye bye. So we could store the... Well, does it allow me to do something like this? Maybe... Okay. If we want to access the UI object, we simply store the second reference to the second part of the thing here. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Huh. Well, it's stored as a bool. What about the first one? The first stored value, the second stored value, but it's a bool. Maybe it's whether it succeeded. Yeah. Let's just look up the emplace function here of the map. A pair consisting of an iterator, yeah, so the first, okay. We can do something like this frame object. Where we find the first part and then store a reference to the second part here. There we go. Now if we so right now if we so we have our frame object for this frame after we stored it. The actual position of the object hasn't been processed yet. It's stored in the last frame objects. So if we're inside the object, this frame, and we clicked it. We set the state as not the input system here. Let's close all these. Button clicked. UI state. Well, let me just think a little. So whenever we click, yeah, if there was a button last frame, we can use that position to check if we clicked inside of it. We copy over our states, meaning that if it was clicked last frame, let's do a check here. If iterator second dot state equals UI state default, we do like this. Else if it was clicked, we can do, all right, I need to open the static mouse position, get release. Click release position. Okay, that's misspelled position. And of course need to and we do the same thing, except we check for a release. In our UI system, we need to rename that. Get release position. So we only return true if and we change the state back to default, I think. Let's just, okay. It doesn't really work. Ran? What? Let's see. Do we ever end up in a state where we ran number 2? Okay, we do run number 1. Let's see. Let's just do like this. Rand number 2. Okay, so we do end up in a situation where we run this. Did I not do? This correctly? Let's see the values here. Twenty and 0. 20 and 0. Yeah, probably the input system here is doing something. No? Let me just check here. The X and Y do get stored. Huh. Hmm. And 0 on the Y, 20 on the X. That's not true. Is it the way I process the release position? Because it should release the mouse button. 20 and 0. Am I doing something completely wrong here? Let me just check this because this probably, does it work differently? Well, ran 10 and 1. Okay, so we have a problem with this state. Because this gets called no matter what. Let's just try. Yeah, it checks this anyway. so it does change, yeah. In our input system, we copy, we only reset the state changes, or rather the number of transitions. Let's put that inside here. Let's just do that for now. Okay, we have a, oh, it might be related to the console thingy. For some reason, it doesn't update. It doesn't process the parameters correctly. Huh. Let me just do this every time. We simply run this test position X. Yeah, this will spam out 0. Let me just check. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. Mm. It does store a 20 value, which is really weird, I think. Uh, and 0, 0. But it only works inside here, right? Well, it already does that whenever it does nothing on the release. Only does it on the click. So on the click, it registers correctly. And else we simply no. Mm. Maybe we don't want to force it to have change. Well, it will have changed state once we release it. Inside scope. Let's just print that out. Inside scope. It never gets inside the scope. Mm. Let's just try this for now. Still doesn't do anything. I mean, It usually works. Why doesn't it work? Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I'm doing this wrong. I'm doing this wrong. Well, probably won't change anything since we're only working with the left mouse button anyway, but since this means that we check the first entry. Let's see, let's check this and this. Mm, it probably won't change anything in terms of how that works, but we will. We will have to get click position, still works. Hmm. Let's try just disabling that one. We never get to that part. Is it because well, it should register whenever we release the button, so am I specifying? No. Huh. That is a bit peculiar. I think also it's supposed to be called something else. Anyway. Hmm. Let's see if we do this again. Well, Does it register anything? Let's just... No, it never registers anything. Never registers anything. Print is down. State is down. Let me just disable the old thingy here. Yeah, it does register correctly. And it only registers something. It only sends a message whenever I do something, so it's not like a key that can be held down and repeated. It simply registers as one click every time, so, or release for that matter. Let me just think a bit about what I do here. I copy the mouse state. The mouse state will be set to false most of the time. In our application layer here, we were allowed to do a test where we could do something like input system. Released. Mouse button released. And button released. And then it registers correctly. So that part is actually handled correctly. Maybe for some reason, I don't know, maybe this is happening a frame too late. No, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Whoops, this doesn't belong here. Let me just disable that again inside the message handling. We don't need that. Let me just try this. So only if we release, we get the dump. Peculiar. Let's try this. Let's not do the position stuff. So yeah, it registers correctly here. If I release the position, I could dump the position here. I'm not supposed to move it though. Hello, welcome back. Yeah, so it's the way that we enter this step here. Maybe we want this as a separate thing. Maybe we don't want to return. Maybe we only, let's see, let's print the position. Yeah, once you get the hang of it, I think you will be fairly efficient at doing work with it. Let's see. So I set the click state. Oh, wait a minute. No. Let's try repeating this. We never get a release. If I put it here, I will get a different result, I think. As you can see, it stores some values here. Yeah, so the problem is actually getting inside this part as the same at the same time as when so yeah, the problem is that this will be one frame behind, which means that what if it happens the same frame? I find it highly unlikely, but maybe the input system is responsive enough to actually catch that state. Maybe it's responsive enough for that. Maybe we simply check here. Let's try that. If we do like this and then dump the debug here. Okay, let's disable this for now. And let's see, maybe it's better to check. So if I simply click, I will get not a right value, but Yeah, the 3D is somewhat of a process. You need to use coordinate space translations to render it effectively. No, I don't see any emojis. I'm just trying to update the state properly. Um, it seems to happen at a wrong state. I mean, let me see. I don't know. Well, I I don't see anything on the video in my preview, but I don't know if it's different on your end. Let's try this. And if I simply print it, it gets exactly where I release the button. And if we do a small check, oh, thank you. It's no problem. I prefer to solve it by myself. Yeah, so the release information here is correct. Um, it's probably, maybe it pertains to the memory locations. Let me just, hmm. I might do some machine learning AI stuff and maybe work a bit more on the WPF, but yeah, and I'm not gonna put on a webcam or anything. It's definitely not a plan for the stream. So for some reason, the states here. Yeah, and since I'm a public person in terms of my profession, I prefer to be somewhat anonymous. Um, yeah, I think I need to do some debug stepping here because let me just check the state of the program whenever I do get to this point. Whoops. What did I mess up? Okay, maybe it's because we have a bug somewhere. Well, that's not it. Let's try disabling this code block here and remove this. That might be why things aren't running properly. So this kind of iterator fetching here, does this work? It's fine. It's a way of doing Windows-based UIs for different applications in C#. There's some videos on the channel about it in terms of doing interoperability with C or C++. Okay, so I'm guessing that this line here is what? No, that's not it. Let's try to do this check. Yeah, okay. So we're probably grabbing, what's the assertion? Cannot dereference end map set iterator. Oh, so if it's empty. Let's do yeah. This should be fine. And let's just step into this frame object. Button. The state is default. Uh, let's see. let's see. Last frame object, test button, state, default. Okay. And this frame object, default button. You should create yeah, I think you can use GLM. Shouldn't be a problem. Try uploading some vertices and calculating a view projection matrix and using that in your shaders to create a 3D perspective on things. So the problem is probably that the application stores the information after the draw state. But the input system uses this frame state. A GLM is just a math library. It doesn't matter if you use one thing or use that or DirectX math or whatever. The only thing you need to be aware of is that matrices are stored in memory, maybe in different ways between OpenGL and DirectX 12 or 11 for that matter. So yeah, but you can definitely use that math library for anything. It's just a math library, and the math is basically the same except for a few different variations of, yeah, for instance, the matrix storage in memory, but so well, I don't know either. Maybe they're, yeah, I don't know. But people compare everything all the time. Uh, so, and I guess opinions vary a lot. Let's see. So, this frame object, the state is still 0. Because I didn't click at this frame. Okay, well, it's because I don't store the object state. Okay, maybe I know what the problem is then. Yeah. It's definitely more verbose in terms of DirectX 11. That's true. Yeah, OpenGL is way easier if you don't care much about graphics programming. So the problem is that we kind of create a new object that every frame overwrites the old object. And this means that this state from last frame doesn't get saved at all. And since we're handling a button here, we would like to actually save the state. So we could say that whenever we uh, on DirectX 11, I think chili tomato noodle or what is his name does a tutorial on DirectX 11 from start to finish. I haven't really watched it a lot myself, but yeah, he will definitely show you how to do stuff in DirectX 11 from scratch. Let's see. I can't remember. Chili, tomato, noodle, DirectX, I think. Oh, whoops, not 12. DirectX. There he is. Chili, tomato, noodle. Okay, we would like. It's DirectX 11. So yeah, we don't want to overwrite the position information since whenever we calculate the position information, the underlying context or the underlying context might change. So therefore, if that changes its position, we would like the button to change its position as well. For instance, if you drag a quote-unquote window inside the UI around, the position should change. Therefore, whenever we recreate the button, we don't want to um, copy the position stuff because it will be handled by the method that calculates the specific information, also translated into something that which also translates it into something that can get rendered. So um, we would only like to grab the state, I think. I'm happy to help, man. It's a rough process getting to do more advanced graphics programming. So if I can help out, I'm happy to. Okay, maybe we want this iterator and check to be happening up here. So if not really. I've used gamedev.net for some questions about the physics system. So this is fine. Whoops. We simply, if we do have a pointer thing here, we update the state to whatever state we had last frame. So now we don't override it. Otherwise, we set it to the default state. I guess we could do some logic. Well, now we don't need this anymore. Now we only write to our map. We don't need the reference because we have the local variable that will hold our information, I think. Maybe we want to do processing inside here. Yeah. If it last frame was the default state, and we do have a click on it, we simply change the state to clicked, and right now we store it, which means that we should save our state from frame to frame. If it's the first time, we create a default state. If it hasn't been clicked, it will also be the default state. Okay, let's try this. So let's just move this into a general scope. Let's remove all of this stuff here because we don't need it anymore. So now let's say that we click here, last frame objects, test button, and it's the clicked state now. So that's great. Then we can do Another check here. Well, it takes a long time to write graphics APIs, and the driver stuff is proprietary, so yeah. Once yeah, I think the reason why we do not have more iterative development and more open source stuff is because of NVIDIA and AMD and Intel. They kind of dictate how graphics APIs get developed. Because the graphics API is basically a way to interact with the driver of the graphics card, and every driver is different between vendors of graphics cards. So do whatever you like, man. If you find enjoyment in it, surely do it. Let's see if the state was clicked. We could do some stuff here and set the, maybe set the state to clicked. Okay, our last frame state here for the button was that it was clicked. Let's try to disable this. Oops. So right now we do have some working stuff here. And we can do a simple bool here. Oh, thank you very much. And we set, we of course return activate. If this happened, we set activate to true. Okay, now we have the callback. So if, let me just place this somewhere on the screen. I click, I draw, I release, I do not get a callback. I click, I release, I get a callback. Click, release, no callback. Click, release on the button, callback. So now it doesn't register whenever I click the button, but when I release the button. And as a regular click also works. This means that now I can cancel my mouse click. Now I click, I don't want to click that button, I release outside. Great stuff. That took a while before I realized that I default reset the state every frame. But yeah, it worked out in the end. All right, I will be. Yeah, when I was a teenager, so it's been a long time. Okay. Anyway, I think this was a nice process. We definitely got some work done and uh, implemented some more functionality to our UI input polling system. Um, I think the next step will be to be building. Yeah, I'm gonna do a break, maybe half an hour, maybe more. Um, but I'll probably be back later today. I've been doing this for almost 3 hours, so I kind of need to, yeah, yeah, just focus on something else. But yeah, if anyone found this helpful, inspirational, or even entertaining, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. And to all the viewers who came to the stream and hung out with me in chat, thank you very much. All right, see ya.